Hey, so we're always talking about certain situations. We know in the beginning in Genesis that we were dealing with Noah's dad, and Noah's dad complained about oppression, complained about the situations that were going on in the biblical times, and we're still going through those same situations now in present day. I can tell you from personal situations where I have applied for jobs and I know these jobs should be paying well over $20, $30 an hour. Some should be as well into $40 an hour, but they're sitting up there, they're screaming, oh, we're only paying $21. Um, when I sit up here and I look at these situations and I think back to myself about the oppression our people are enduring, and it is oppressive. You have basically lied about the wage, the minimum wage balance. You have people that are in certain situations where they have you connected to certain devices and using certain devices against you to keep you oppressed. Um, when we say people have gouged your eyes out and stuff like that, what that means, they have blinded you so that they can steal from you. We call this the devil. Um, and when we say it's the devil, because it's not the Holy Grail, the Holy Grail blinds you only to grow you and give you more money and to make you more wealthier, to make things go a little bit better for you. These are called the Holy Veil. But the devil, knowing that you are a part of the Holy Veil, will come and do certain things against you in those times. The devil comes to steal from you, kill from you, and destroy you. So we go to work sometimes, and half of our paycheck goes to someone that we don't even know because we're blinded and we can't see the actual numbers on that check. They don't talk about the real stuff that's really going on. Okay, they keep you in sin so they can keep you without anything. When we talk about sin, let me be real with you. They ain't gonna let you get hold to the Holy Bible and read that Holy Bible and gain the keys that you need for success and for your growth and for your benefits. They hate that. They feed off of your anger. So they like to keep you angry. They like to keep you worked up. They like to keep you upset so that you can, so that you can cave for any little thing. They like to keep you working so that basically you don't focus on what's really going on and what's really happening and the situations that's really taking place. Nothing has changed. Since biblical times, nothing has changed. They have been stealing since biblical times. They have been taking since biblical times. The whole goal of these people is to keep us docile enough so that we don't grow. So you're sitting there, you're docile enough so that you don't grow. Now, let me be real with you. They taking half of your paycheck. After taking half of your paycheck, they still want more. So they taking money from your check. I don't care if it's half. I don't care if it's under half. They going to take some money out your check. Then on top of it, they're stealing days from you. So you can work and sometimes they'll steal days off your paycheck, hours off your paycheck. If you're not watching and covering yourself, you can actually be caught up in a situation where you lose. You have to really be mindful of the type of people that we dealing with. They always want access to you, so they want keys to your door. They want access to you. They want access to your environment. You don't have to do nothing wrong. These are rapists. So they'll rape you off, your kids off, your grandkids off, whoever. Because that's how they get down. You are different from them. You get what I'm saying? You got them running around talking about they Masonic and they Masons and they're Freemasons and stuff like that. These people don't even know what the hell them people stood for. That's as simple as I can put it because I don't know how to say it in a way that is not angry. because I know they're lying. When you talk about architects and you talk about people that's inventing, they're inventing for the greater good of everybody, right? The original architects and original creators and the people that wanted the best for our people was inventing stuff for everybody. But remember, I told you, as they invented, that was someone saying, okay, well, we can use this for evil, like the Holy Veil. Okay, we got the Holy Veil. The Holy Veil is supposed to be protecting you, but then you also have the devil that's using the Holy Grail to destroy you. You get what I'm saying? You got people, we got the Holy Bible. We trying to gather ourselves around people of God, ministers of God, but those same ministers of God can sit up there and take the word of God and manipulate and deceive you. And God warned us about them. He said, if it were possible, the very elect, those that were called and chosen, would be deceived by them because they would carry themselves as holy people, but the whole time they're unrighteous. They're not living in accordance with God's will. I can't tell you that I deal with people attacking me daily for no reason at all. They don't like me. Why don't you like me? I'm not likable because of what I stand for. I don't stand for the foolishness that they stand for. I don't get down the way they get down. So sometimes I have to pay the price because I don't play the game the way they play it, and it costs me. We're dealing with people that have been stealing from us generationally. So what's happening, you thinking you're going through a generational curse and you're not. You're going through somebody trying to take from you, trying to destroy you, trying to minimize you and limit you because this is what they did to your granddaddy and your granddad's granddad and your mom and your mom's mom. And they have been doing generational things against you to oppress you. But the same rules still apply today. What is one thing that our kids are going through as they are traveling throughout school? The inability to learn. I remember being a teacher and I would say, hey, these kids got to get out of here. They're distracting the ones that want to learn. They told me we could not remove them, that we have to learn to cope and to deal with disruptive children in the classroom. Now, this is the thing. Everybody did not come to learn, and one bad apple will spoil the bunch. So if you don't remove that bad apple, the rest of the students begin to behave in a manner that's inappropriate. But this is not their teaching anymore. Their teaching is for you to endure all forms of evil and all forms of ungodliness, all disruptive behavior, all things that is not of God. When truth be told, we believe in weed and seed. So as we're trying to grow crops and as we're trying to grow a nation and as we're trying to grow our children, certain things we cannot have in their atmosphere. I remember one time I was given a housing voucher because financially we never really had much, and I'm not gonna lie about that because of certain stuff, and God's revealing these things to me about people that are stealing from our people that are already in poor neighborhoods, and how the government is sending money but the money never gets to the people's hand. It's going to everybody's hand but yours. So you got people getting millions, and then you got people getting nothing. But the millions that the person's getting is actually people with nothing. So we gotta know what we really dealing with. And so when I'm sitting up here and I'm going through certain stuff, I had to start to realize that the government been sending money for years and years and years. But guess who's the first person they blame? They blame the government. I didn't understand that. But anyway, I got offered a housing voucher to move into a certain community. I went and I drove around the community. I knew the community pretty good. It looks like a peaceful place, but it's not a peaceful place. When I talk about Iraq, I mean This is like Iraq. Like these jokers don't play. They go Taliban in a minute. And I sat up there, I rode around the neighborhood, and I was like, you know what? I would love to move there, but my children nor I could make it in that area. And I remember the people getting mad with me because I refused to introduce my daughters, my son, and my family into a hostile area. And the craziest thing, they're not understanding now with the way things are nowadays, every area that mostly we could go in as a family is hostile, even the suburbs. There is really no real safe havens, and it's coming because the enemy, I'm not saying the enemy is winning. What I am saying, the enemy is very clever because you're seeing one thing because of the devil, and God's in the midst of doing a whole another thing. And the enemy job is to keep you distracted, keep you off guard, keep you unfocused, keep you undisciplined in a controlled environment. Now, this is where it's going to get real sad. The environment is closed. Doesn't nothing happen unless somebody wants something to happen. We're dealing with a matriarch system. So if this is a matriarch system and if this is assimilation type behavior, then how is this happening? Then remind you we're on record as being dead people. We don't even exist. We are no longer in existence. To even wake up the fact of who we are would bring about so many different questions. We would only end up captive only again because a person would say that cannot be you because it's impossible. But this is the type of stuff that we're faced with from day to day. People riddling your mind, playing with your brain, and trying to keep you docile. And the only thing, and when I say the only thing, is the word of God, because that's what the actual architects, the original architects, the founders that wanted to create a utopian society and a peaceful society and to have a peaceful place wanted for us. But it didn't work that way. They didn't want peace. They didn't want nothing of God. They didn't want nothing of peace. When you sit up there and you see the society today, you will see demons. And when I say we talk about demons, demons aren't what most people think. Demons are people who are evil that connects themselves to good people or innocent people or children and try to take them over. Now, a lot of us have been taken over as children. Why would they take us as children and take us over with demonic possession? The reason why they would gather us as children and take us over with demonic possession is like taking candy from a baby. Taking innocence from a child is easy because the child knows nothing. But what it is taught and it follows quickly and easily. That's why a lot of people don't want to hire a mature grown person to work in their facilities or for their companies or anything because it becomes more difficult when a person says, hey, that's not something I want to do. We have multiple young women right now getting pregnant, right? That ain't no women desire. I never heard of a woman saying, I'm going to stay on welfare Section 8 and become a baby mama. I have never heard of a person says, I want to stay stagnant and never have. I have never heard of a person saying, I am predestined for prison and that's where I want to go. But the reason why we're coming into more case studies and more issues that says, hey, we have serious problems is because of demonic possession, people being attached to other people, forcing and coercing a certain mindset, a certain behavior, a certain way about things. And no one is addressing this. No one's saying, hey, this is a little unorthodox, it's a little inappropriate. But it's being accepted. And the reason why it's being accepted because nobody really wants to speak up and say, hey, it's wrong. It's ill begotten. It's not of God. But we're in these situations. We're sending our children to school to become demonically possessed. Some of everything attaching to them. Some of everything having control over them. Some of everything trying to turn them out and make them less than a man or a woman. We're sending them to school for them to come home and say that they are transgen and they are, and I don't know if you know what transgen really is. Gen is a generation. Gen actually means generation. This is our beginning. When you talk about Genesis, this is the generation before. This is the generation. What are we teaching the generation? Because we're talking about transgender. We're talking about so many different things with this generation that we never expected. And we have to really address some of these issues and how it is out of alignment with God's will. When we say man should not sleep with mankind, I know a lot of people that say, oh, that's for gay people. That's not for gay people. That's for straight people too. Why are you sleeping? Why are you giving into marriage? Why are you doing that? Are you too weak to stand on your own? If you are too weak, then you should give into marriage. But if you can, it is better to be alone. But we're not teaching a singles ministry. And there's a reason why a lot of times they don't want to teach a single ministry, because a single ministry sits up there and says, hey, there ain't going to be no more sin. There ain't going to be no more foolishness. There's not going to be any more of this if they abide by the testimonies and the testaments within the single ministry. But because no one really wants to testify because it's embarrassing, it shows forth a weakness. That's part of the reason why I'm on here. Sometimes some of this stuff, I go through so much, some of this stuff I be sitting up here embarrassed to talk about. But as I'm sitting up here and I'm ministering to you, I'm ministering to myself to actually get out the embarrassing things and actually be flamboyantly with it, even though it's embarrassing, so somebody can get delivered. And that's the hardest thing. The hardest thing. Because guess what? They don't want you to know a single ministry, because what you don't know is every time you sleep with your boyfriend, there are women and men that come because you're closed up in a facility out of it, and they sleep with you and rape you. And guess what? When you don't have a boyfriend and you don't have sex, they still want to sleep with you and rape you in that same facility. There has been documentation and everything of people that were unconscious who were pregnant. How does an unconscious person who cannot consent get pregnant? That's one. That's one right there. How does a child who cannot consent gets raped and sexually mutilated? And when they're sexually mutilated, you say it's their fault. And you will sit up there and you will try to convince that child through psychological torture that it's their fault that they were actually sexually mutilated. If that ain't dark psychology, I don't know what is. And then you have these psychopaths that are for evil behavior. Therefore, we got our people, and let me tell you something, our people being held demonic captive who are aiding and abetting without even knowing they're aiding and abetting because they think nothing of it because we have been so far away from the word of God. I honestly have to say this. I went up under so much torture, like attacks and torture for months and months on end. It's been yearly, daily, all year. I go up under attacks. Nobody knows this. They want me to talk to a man. I don't want to talk to nobody. I like being by myself. I don't see the motive of even dating anymore when I know the truth. When my eyes was open to the truth, I didn't even see the reason for dating. You got a group of men around here that's on assignment. Some of our women, the women of God, some of these women of God are married to a dude on assignment. He's only married to you because he's on assignment by his superiors to take you out and take you down to nothing. So he only married you so that he can sit up there and live in comfort because they pay him well to make you look like nothing because of your marital connection to him. And this is something nobody really talks about. Then on top of it, okay, you're not still meeting what you're supposed to meet because remember, you still got those people that are stealing from you hourly. Then you got the ones when you buy something, they steal from you because you're buying with this inflation foolishness. Because to be totally honest with you, I have never heard of eggs costing $8 to $10 for 12 count, 18 count, or 24 count. That's the price of a 24 count. We can find some locations that have it for a little under $10. But that's the price for 24 count eggs. Can you only imagine the state our people are in at this point with this type of stuff happening? They don't want us talking about it. Why? Because as long as you can stay docile, as long as you can stay not doing what you got to do, as long as you can stay up under them, this is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to feel like. This is what it's going to always be. And when you up under them, they have this thing called puppeteering. So you're committing sins. They try to puppeteer you. Nowadays, what they are trying to do now, and I'm going to confess this to you so y'all know, people that work a job, they trying to take a certain percentage of control because you have to work up under them as an employee. See, an employee was the same as a servant. So the fact that you have to go and you have to work up under these people, they're trying to take from you because you have to do that in order to get somewhere in life. We see the people on the streets begging every day. You don't know why they're on the streets begging. I remember actually applying for multiple jobs and couldn't even get a job. Couldn't even get a job. And they steal from us on the job. So that stops their money, my money, and everything else because I'm telling you they stealing from us on these jobs. They're not paying fair wages. They're not paying fair hourly pay. They're not paying what they're supposed to pay. And then on top of it, Joker's trying to steal from your paycheck. So your paycheck never looks what it's supposed to look like because it's not really what it's supposed to be. You're not gonna tell me in a society where you're charging people $500 a week for a hotel that you're still paying 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, even $24 an hour. You're not going to tell me that's still the pay salary and the pay wage for a community of that caliber. You know what I'm saying? When it's $500 to $1,000 to stay in a hotel for a week, that means that the pay has to be quite substantial for that pay to be like that, for them to require that kind of money for a hotel. But nobody's talking about this stuff. You can't tell me that basically you're charging a certain amount of money for food, which is sometimes 2 and 3 times more than what the original asking cost of food is, with them doing a price increase for the fact of it being retail. How many people are our people sponsoring through our labors and our endeavors, our everyday work? How many people are we sponsoring at this point that's getting money off of us? I had to wake up and say to myself, honestly, I have to start cutting people off that I know ain't for me. I can speak to you, hey, how you doing? And keep it moving. I can be nice to you and have a cordial conversation. But I got to remember that you are not my people because of your conduct and your behavior. Your behavior is not in accordance with God, even if you are some of God's people. And I have to start cutting certain stuff off. Start cutting stuff off, especially when I see our men. Oh, we're looked at as attractive. You are a godly man. Of course you looked at as attractive. You are amongst wolves that want innocence. Of course you looked at attractive. Looking at our young women and our daughters coming up, and we have not taught them to sustain themselves from sex, but to rather have sex on the first night. Give it up, girl. Of course, you are considered attractive. They're preying on our innocence. You weren't taught to sustain yourself. You were taught weakness. You were taught to give into marriage and have a man rule over you instead of being taught the right way. Some of our men, you were taught to be submissive to your wives and have your wives rule over you, instead of sustaining yourselves and not giving into sex, relationships, marriages, or anything, but rather being a holy sacrifice unto the Lord. I can't tell you I went into demonic possession because I cared and loved for men. I'm entering into relationships. I'm dating. I like these guys. They are nice guys according to what I can see. They seem real good. But the devil comes in many different ways and he uses innocent vessels every day. Do I hate them? No, I don't hate you. But at the same time, I cannot sit up there and submit myself to demonic possession because I feel like you're a good person and continue to take myself through hell. At some point, I have to save me because you ain't going to save me. But nobody wants to hear these stories. Nobody wants to hear how these demons are married and still want to date somebody. Don't nobody want to talk about that. Why are you married and you still trying to date somebody? What's wrong with you? And the woman, he done slept on around with 30,000 women. And I want my husband. And why would you want something like that? Because you're held demonic captive. That's the only reason why you would want something like that. We have to know that we're being held demonic captive. We have to know that we still have to work. A man that don't work, don't eat. They're stealing from us. We're in like an enslaved situation. They're stealing a lot of money from our paychecks. We're shortchanged a lot of stuff. We have to know what we're dealing with and keep them the hell away from us until we can find a resolution that's a pleasable unto God. Know what y'all dealing with. Know who and what y'all dealing with, because sin is always going to keep us without. Get into these scriptures. Get into the word of God. Let loose every person that has kept you captive. Let loose people that are not working for you. Let loose deceptive people, because they ain't for us. Let them loose and move on with your life, because they don't care about us. Care about themselves. Know what y'all dealing with. May God bless you guys. I touched a lot of different subjects, but sometimes I come on here and vent, honestly, and tell what I'm really feeling, because sometimes I can't get it out like I want to, and I still didn't get it all out in this video. Honestly, I didn't. But what did get out, maybe it's what God wants, and it can actually help. Hopefully these words encourage you guys. Don't give up. Still keep going to work. Still do what you got to do. Still know the truth, because we're wrestling against things that are in high authority. Some of these people got their authority through being commissioners and city commissioners and a whole bunch of different stuff that you didn't consider. You weren't fighting for, but they knew why they were fighting for what they did. You didn't know what you're dealing with. Hopefully these words encourage you to stay blessed.